Hello, welcome back to another video. My name is Gemma and today I have a book haul. So I've bought quite a few books over the last 6-ish months. Actually, that's a lie, I haven't bought that many, but I have acquired quite a few and we're going to talk through what they are. I would like to preface this by saying the last book I bought was actually in August, so this has been like a long time coming, this haul. But yeah, I just feel like I've not been buying as many books lately, which is probably good because then I might read some on my shelves, though it tends to mean that I just read more library books, which kind of defeats the object. But that's not the point of today's video. We're going to talk about the books that I have acquired, and actually I think I'm going to start with gifts. So I actually have a massive stack here of books that have been gifted to me by the fabulous Charlie at Charlie Book Reads. If you are unfamiliar with Charlie's channel, please go and check her out. She's linked below. She has an outstanding taste in books, and basically she finishes books and then hands them over to me because she knows that I have very similar taste to her, and she's just a diamond of a human. So go over, check out Charlie's channel, and I will show you what she has sent me, and you will probably see them on her channel being reviewed at some point or other. So first up we have this little pocket rocket of a book, The Democracy of the Species by Robin Wall Kimmerer. So Kimmerer is more famously known for her books Braiding Sweetgrass. This author is an Indigenous American author and talks a lot about nature and land and how we can like live with the land. And so it sounds really, really interesting. Tiny little book. So I really hope I can get to it very soon. Actually, I could read this for Non-Fiction November. Could do. But yes, so we have that little one. Lovely. Thank you very much, Charlie. Now this one is very, very pertinent for the moment, so I actually might pick this up sooner rather than later, and that's Against the Loveless World. And this is about a young woman who is in an Israeli prison, telling her story of when she fled Palestine pursued by the Israelis. Now obviously this is very, very politically sensitive at the moment, this topic. It is certainly a topic I feel like I don't know too much about. I've done obviously a little bit of a reading around the current situation in Gaza, but I think this would be a really interesting read right now. So yeah, Against the Loveless World by Susan Abulhawa. So yeah, need to get to that one sooner rather than later, I think. Then we have Calla by Colin Walsh. This was shortlisted for the Waterstones Debut Fiction Prize Award this year and looks at 3 teenagers, I believe, who return to their hometown, which is a coastal town of Ireland. And one of the friends that they grew up with has been found dead, and they sort of have to work out what's happened. And yeah, it sounds a little Tana French-ish. But yeah, I've heard good things, and yeah, when I'm in the mood for sort of a more mystery, almost thrillery type book, I'll pick this up. But I do think it's more on the literary side than the sort of down and dirty thriller side, if you know what I mean. So yes, looking forward to that. Then we have When We Were Birds by Ayanna Llyod Banwo, and this is a dual perspective book. We're following a young boy who is estranged from his mother and his Rastafari religion that he grew up with, and a young woman who can speak to the dead. And these two characters come together and they both have something that the other one needs. Sounds like an interesting concept. I read August Town by Kai Miller earlier this year, which talked a lot about the Rastafari religion, and I found it really super interesting. So I'd like to explore that a little bit further, and this book will certainly allow me to do that. So yes, looking forward to this one. And this was longlisted, if not shortlisted, for the Gill Prize this year. Then she also sent me, and she sent me this, bless her, because I was having a rough time with just work and stress and all the rest of it. So she just sent me a book, and she sent one to my kids, Sam and Charlie, as well. She's just honestly the most lovely human. She sent me Great Godesses, Life Lessons from Myths and Monsters by Nikita, Gill. I don't know if you can see how beautiful that cover is. it is stunning. And this is a selection of essays. I don't know if there's like poems and like little anecdotes and bits and pieces, lots of little bits and pieces, and it's got some beautiful artwork in it as well. And I do love myself a Greek myth, and yeah, it sounds like this could be just the pick me up I need when I'm feeling a bit down, and I can just pick it up and put it down at will, you know. So very much looking forward to that as well. So those were my gifts from Charlie, bless her cotton socks. Then I have another gift here. This one was from my brother, just randomly when he went to Scotland. He brought me a book back because he's a sweetie. And that is The Wolf Border by Sarah Hall. And I have never heard of this book or this author, so I'd love to know if anyone else has read her or this book in particular. But this is about a young woman who's sort of estranged from her family, living in the States, and then she returns home to England to repopulate the Lake District, or the Peak District, Lake District, with wolves, and it sort of forces her to get closer to her family again, and maybe that's not great. So yeah, it sounds really interesting. I love like all the nature. Obviously it's all snowy and stuff on the cover, so I think this could be a perfect winter read. So looking forward to that one. Then, and I don't usually do this, I accepted a copy of a book from an independent author. It sounded really interesting. It's called Linden Falls by Joshua Hershey. And this is a fantasy book, and it's about a young woman whose people are enslaved, and then she finds that she can enter another world, a world of angels and demons, via a book, and in doing so she can possibly find a way to save her people who are sort of enslaved by this dark force. So sounds interesting. I'm not 100% sold on the cover, I have to say, but the premise sounds fantastic and the author was super lovely. So I will be looking forward to getting to this and letting you know what I think in due course. So that's it for gifts. I did receive a book when I went to the Women's Prize live event, so that tells you how long it's been since I've done a haul. But when we went, myself and Alice went, I do have a vlog of that, I'll leave it below. We got like a goodie bag and we got a book in it, which was fabulous. And the book that I got was Cheri by Joanne Beard. Now, I hadn't heard of this author before, but I've consequently seen her about. And this is a tiny little book, and it's about a woman who's sort of in the last stages of cancer and her experience within that. So I don't know too much more. Obviously, I don't really want to, knowing how short the book is. What is it? It's like 75 pages. So yeah, sounds like it could be really, really impactful, sort of a condensed, highly emotional topic like that. It could work really well in a short book format, but I would ideally like the chance to read this without interruption. So goodness knows when I will get to that, because I don't have much uninterrupted time in my life. Then I've got 3 books here that were from the Shelterbox Book Club. So the Shelterbox Book Club is a book club that I was subscribed to. Get a book every 5 weeks, and it's fantastic because it's really diverse literature from all over the world, and the money that they make with their subscriptions, they use a proportion of that to fund charitable projects in the countries of some of the book's origins and authors' origins. So it's a fantastic book club. I will leave the details below if you're looking for some good books to hit your shelves. The problem that I have is that I've been subscribed for about 18 months and read one of them. So I've cancelled my subscription for now, and I will go back to it once I've maybe got some more reading time in my life. But what do I have for you? So the first one I have is The Colour of Air by Gail Tsukiyama. And this is set in Hawaii and on a sugar plantation. Yes. And follows a Japanese American family who are sort of like trying to build a life for themselves, really, on the island of Hawaii. However, Hawaii does have a rather large earthquake, and I believe it went off in 1935, and this book follows the events of that through the eyes of this Japanese American family. So it sounds super interesting, lots of different sort of strands to it, and sort of just out and out historical fiction at the same time. So yes, this is definitely a Gemma book, and I need to get to it like sooner rather than later. I feel like I've said that a lot. I do mean it. I do, honestly. Then we have Midnight at Malabar House by Vaseem Khan. And this one is about a female detective in India. She kind of gets like all the shit jobs and puts with the rubbish partners and stuff because she's a woman, of course. But as luck would have it, she stumbles across quite a high profile murder case, and it's her sort of opportunity to, I don't want to say prove herself because she shouldn't have to prove herself, but maybe stick her finger up at the patriarchy slightly. So that the feminist side of it sounds fabulous. I'm not really much of a one for sort of crime fiction, so I don't know how I'll get on with this, but I will definitely give it a whirl. Then we have Here Comes the Sun by Nicole Denis-Benn. I have read one other book by Nicole Denis-Benn. I read Patsy, which I really, really enjoyed last year. Ben is a Jamaican author. This is set in Jamaica, and it follows a cast of women who are sort of forced to protect their home when a hotel is going to be built in their village and cause disruption. But it's also about sibling dynamics and what women have to do to support themselves, and women trying to protect other women from having to do some of those things. So it sounds like, similar to Patsy, there's going to be some pretty heavy themes in this. Very, very female focused, set in Jamaica, very true to the reality over there. So I am very much looking forward to this. I think the cover maybe makes it look jollier than it will be. So yes, looking forward to that one. And then the only two that I have sort of proactively bought like in the last 6 months, which is actually madness. When I came to look at the stack, I was like, oh yeah, I've actually only bought 2 of these. One of them is Cheri, a memoir of survival on stolen land by Toni Jensen. And this was recommended to me by the fantastic Amelia Barlow Books. I will leave Amelia's channel below, but when I think it was her 1 year on BookTube, she recommended books to a whole variety of booktubers, which was fantastic because she covered a huge range of different genres and tastes in books. So I'd highly recommend you check that video out. I'll link it below because it will give you like loads of ideas no matter what your reading taste. And this is the one she recommended for me. And this effectively is Jensen's experience with gun violence in the US as an Indigenous woman. So a very specific perspective, but one that I'm super interested in. Obviously, as a Brit, we don't have gun violence. Well, certainly not in the way that they do in America. You do in America if you're American. So that sort of terrifies and fascinates me in equal measure. But then to add in the element of being an Indigenous woman and the violence that incurs of its own accord, I think this could be a pretty harrowing read. And as I say, Amelia highly recommended it, and I very much trust her recommendation. So looking forward to getting to this one soon. Again, I could read this for Non-Fiction November. I already do have quite the TBR for that as it is. So we will see. And then the final book that I have purchased is this chunky boy, Our Share of Night by Mariana Enriquez, who is a book-along listed author. And this sounds fantastic. So this is translated, from the Spanish by Megan McDowell. Mariana Enriquez is a South American author. And this is sort of horror fantasy, I think, about a father whose son has some special abilities, and he's trying to protect him from the people who would exploit those. I think that's the general premise, but I think it's a lot darker than that. I actually saw the fabulous Jess at Stalking Kafka review this recently, and she absolutely raved about it. Like, I defy anyone to watch that video of hers and not want to pick this book up. That's what happened to me. So I shall also leave Jess's video below if I can find it. I will certainly leave her channel. And so yeah, and that is all of them. So yeah, you will certainly be seeing a lot less hauls from me, I would say, going forwards, birthday and Christmas excluded, because yeah, I'm just trying to be a little bit more sensible with my purchasing. I have no more room left on my shelves is what I'm saying. So yes, let me know if you have read any of these, what you think I should start with, and I will leave my vlog of my little trip to London with Alice here if you'd like to check that out, and I will see you very soon with another one. Bye guys.